Hello, my name is Cecilia and I'm with Altrusa of Chula Vista. And today I'm going to be reading Caps for Sale. I remember this book when I used to read it to my little sister, and she used to love for me to read it to her. So I thought I'd read it to you. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like any ordinary peddler, carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First, he had on his own checkered cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up to the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps. That morning, nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said. And he walked out of town, slowly, slowly, as not to upset his caps. He walked for a long time until he came to a big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," he thought. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunks as to not disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his head to feel if they were straight. First, he checked his cap, then he checked the gray caps, then he checked the brown caps, the blue caps, the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own check cap. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray, a brown, or a blue, or a red cap. Here are all the monkeys. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking his finger at them. "You give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tss." This made the peddler angry, so he shook both his hands at them and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." Now he felt quite angry. He stomped his foot and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." By this time, the peddler was really very angry. He stamped both his feet and he shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." At last he became so angry that he pulled off his cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. But then each monkey pulled off his cap. And all the gray caps, all the brown caps, all the blue caps, all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First, his own check cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end. This is kind of a funny story with all the monkeys in there. And as you could see, the monkeys just copied what he did, and he finally got back his caps. So this is kind of a fun little story. Hope you enjoyed it.